In this lesson, you'll be learning how to identify direct objects primarily. We'll also be learning about the verb transitive and sentence pattern number 2. Direct objects, as you learned from your noun jingle, are a noun or a pronoun. A direct object completes the meaning, follows the verb, and answers the question what or whom. If you haven't listened to Jingle 21, it would be a great time to pause this video, go listen to Jingle 21, which will be in the email list of links that I sent to your parents, and go ahead and listen to that jingle and then come back to the lesson. But here I'm going to be teaching you how to identify direct objects. The most important thing to remember is that a direct object is a noun or a pronoun. A direct object is another noun job. Nouns have so many jobs that we've learned about. We've learned that nouns can be subjects. We call this the subject noun. Every sentence has a subject noun in it. Nouns can also be objects of the preposition. We label this OP. They always come after the preposition and complete our prepositional phrase. Nouns can also be adjectives, we've learned recently, with the possessive noun adjectives, where a possessive noun is modifying something like Kylie's purse. Kylie's, which is a possessive noun, is acting as an adjective. So even though noun is its own part of speech, it has so many different jobs that it takes on. Subject, object of the preposition, adjectives, and now we're going to be realizing that nouns can also be the direct object. So what's a direct object? A direct object, as we've talked about, is a noun or a pronoun. It completes the meaning of the sentence. A direct object receives the action of the verb and is someone or something different from the subject noun. A direct object completes the meaning of the sentence, and it's located in the predicate. So you'll always find the direct object after the verb. You'll always find it in the predicate along with all the other words that are modifying or explaining the verb. A direct object will always be a noun, so you're looking for a person, place, or thing when you're looking for a direct object. And you're looking for a noun that is different than the subject noun. So in your sentence, you're going to have a noun that's functioning as the subject. You're also going to have a noun that's functioning as the direct object. Those two nouns will not be the same. And so once you've found your subject noun, which you always do first when you're analyzing a sentence, then when you go looking for the direct object, you'll know it's that other noun in the sentence that maybe it comes after the verb. It's not a object of the preposition. It's not a possessive noun adjective. It's the noun that's receiving the action of the verb. We'll talk about that a little bit more because it's confusing. Here we have the dog chewed the bone. Dog is our subject noun. It's the person doing the action, the verb chewing. Dog is chewing. Chewing what? Chewing the bone. So to find the direct object, we're always going to ask what or whom after the verb. We'll ask what if it's a person. We'll ask what if it's a place, thing, or idea. We'll ask whom if it's a person. So if this sentence says the dog chewed the cat, I would say the dog chewed whom? The dog chewed the cat, because cat is a living thing. But because bone is just a thing, it's not a live thing, we ask the question what? The dog chewed what? The dog chewed the bone. So to find a direct object, you're going to go to your verb and you're going to ask what after the verb or ask whom after the verb. And the answer to that question will give you your direct object. We label the direct object with the abbreviation DO. Here's some examples. Hayden played the drum. Hayden, our subject noun, played is our verb. Played what? Played drum, direct object. Kylie's, our subject noun. Kylie's ate. Kylie's ate what? Ate sandwich, direct object. So you can see in these two sentence examples, we've labeled our direct object DO. You'll also notice that after the verb, there's a lowercase t. That's because when you have a direct object, you get a verb transitive. So let's talk about that. The verb transitive. A transitive verb is an action verb that's followed by a direct object in a sentence. So you've got an action verb like chewed. Chewed what? Chewed the bone. So then you know that chewed is going to be a transitive verb. We label transitive verbs with a lowercase t after our capital V that marks it as a verb. A transitive verb transfers the action from the subject to the direct object. That's why it's called a transitive verb. It's a little bit confusing, so it's just helpful to remember for now that an action verb is that when it's followed by a direct object, it gets transformed into a transitive verb, and so we mark it with a lowercase t. So let's look at an example using this sentence, Adele rode her bike. We're just going to go through the question and answer flow, and I'm going to add in all these different parts so you guys can see how they work, because I think it makes more sense to think about grammar in context of sentences than to think about them as their individual parts. So we'll read our sentence. Adele rode her bike. Who rode her bike? Adele. Subject noun. We'll mark it with an SN. What is being said about Adele? Adele rode. Rode is the verb. We're going to mark it with a capital V. Notice that I haven't marked it as a verb transitive yet because I don't know if there's a direct object in this sentence until I've gone through my question and answer flow. So Adele rode what? Bike. Direct object, we'll mark it with the DO. Now, if we have a direct object, that means my verb is verb transitive. So rode is verb transitive. So I'll go back. I've already marked it with a V, and I'm going to mark it with a little lowercase t. So it should look like this. Adele, subject noun, rode, verb transitive, bike, direct object. Whose bike? Her bike. Her is a possessive pronoun adjective. We'll mark it with a PPA. Now, is this pattern 1 or pattern number 2? So let's talk about this. We've got a subject noun with the verb transitive and a direct object, which makes this pattern number 2. Sentence pattern number 2 is a noun-verb-noun pattern. This means that even though there's going to be all different other kinds of parts of speech in the sentence, when you simplify it down to the most basic form, you just have 3 things: the subject, the verb transitive, and the direct object. Anytime you have a direct object in a sentence, you automatically have pattern number 2. Otherwise, the sentences that we've been looking at have been pattern number 1. In pattern number 1, you just have a subject noun and a verb. So the pattern is subject noun verb. That would be pattern number 1. For pattern number 2, we have subject noun, verb transitive, direct object. We can mark it as pattern number 2. So let's review. A direct object is a noun or a pronoun. It receives the action of the verb. It completes the meaning of a sentence. It's always a part of the predicate, and we mark it with a DO. For example, Mrs. Wise rides a motorcycle. Mrs. Wise is the subject noun. Rides is our verb. Rides what? A motorcycle. Motorcycle is a direct object. So I need to go back and mark my verb with a lowercase t. And I have an article adjective in there that I mark with a capital A. Direct objects are so useful. So listen to your jingle, learn the song, and then go ahead and work through the worksheets and papers that I sent you. And if you have a question, you can give me a call. Good luck.